Hello, my name is Zachary Stephen Matson. I am 25 years old and I currently weigh 168 pounds. This is currently the lowest I've ever weighed in my entire adult life, which might not seem too crazy to a lot of people, but for people that knew me when I was 18 years old, it's a drastic change. Back then at my heaviest weight, I was a sexy 226 pounds. I had always kind of been a heavier kid growing up. Not ridiculously overweight, but I was pretty much always one of the biggest kids in my class. I distinctly remember that becoming abundantly clear in middle school when swimming was implemented into our PE course. It was around this time that I started to become a little bit self-conscious of my body image. Obviously we had to take our shirts off to swim, so I remember pulling up my swim trunks to about below my belly button so I would cover up my belly and my hip fat just to sort of pass off like I had a normal looking physique, but I just looked stupid. Despite all of my anxiety and my shame, I honestly had no idea what to do. I was too scared to tell my parents that I was unhappy with how I looked, and honestly, I didn't really want to change up my life too much. I liked eating large portions of unhealthy foods and drinking a ridiculous amount of sodas and sugary juices. I liked sitting around all day watching TV and playing video games. I had no desire to change at all. Luckily, from a very young age, I became very interested in watching and playing sports, so I would get a lot of exercise from just going outside, playing basketball or playing catch with friends. I can't really imagine how big I would have gotten as a kid if I wasn't playing sports. So middle school, I'm pretty big. Could have been bigger, still not great. Flash forward to high school. Probably around my sophomore, junior year, I started to kind of take things into my own hands. I knew I wanted to lose weight, but I still wasn't completely sure what to do. But I knew I just wanted to give it a shot this time. I switched to drinking like diet soda and trying to pick healthier options when my family would go out to eat. I remember how proud I was of myself when my mom asked what I wanted from McDonald's, and instead of a Big Mac and fries and a Sprite, I was like, give me a grilled chicken club, no mayo, fruit parfait, and I don't need a soda. I started to go to my high school's weight room after school with a friend of mine who had a little bit more experience with the gym than I did, and he showed me some workouts to do, so we started doing that a good amount, and I didn't really notice too many changes, but I was like proud of myself for, being proactive and trying to do it. Unfortunately, this was kind of short-lived. Once I graduated high school, I started dating my first ever girlfriend. I was a late bloomer. The focus of taking care of myself sort of moved over to spending time with her. Unfortunately, 18-year-old Zach didn't realize you can spend time with your girlfriend and still be healthy and take care of yourself. That those two things aren't mutually exclusive. So I got lazy, which I kind of always had been, but at this point I had zero motivation or determination to want to take care of myself. I started working at a Subway restaurant and began to take advantage of all the food that was offered to me. The workers were allotted a 6-inch sub after like every 4 hours of work, but when there was no managers or supervisors around, for me the 6-inch turned into a foot long because my coworkers really didn't care. We were also allowed to eat the cookies that had been out for I think like 6 hours or longer. They like expired. And our store was pretty slow, so a lot of cookies did not get sold, so there was plenty to go around. And let's not forget to mention that once I started closing the store by myself, there was really nobody stopping me from eating everything in sight and taking home a footlong after I'd already had the footlong during my shift. I basically lost all self-control, and the worst part was I didn't realize it at all. I have a very vivid memory. I was probably 4 or 5 months into the job, and I went into the bathroom to clean up, and I remember looking at myself in the mirror, and I just turned to the side, and I lifted up my shirt, and my belly just kind of poured out, and I just stood there, and I looked at myself, and all I could think was, shit. I knew I wasn't working out or eating very well, but I didn't realize how badly I was eating and how quickly it all really got to me until that very moment. So it was then and there that I decided to start taking steps to turn my life around. I joined a gym, started to clean up my diet. I started to get comments from people telling me that they could notice that I was losing weight and that I looked good, and it felt really good to hear. It was honestly really good motivation to want to keep going and just keep pushing myself. I still didn't feel anywhere close to where I wanted to be with how I looked, but it helped. Then shortly after that, the biggest motivation of all kind of just sort of fell into my lap. I got my heart broken for the first time. Poor little 18-year-old Zach, first time he had ever fallen in love, first girl he had ever dated. He was broken. The first few days after that were tough, but it did not take too long after that before I decided to turn back to the gym. It became kind of my safe haven. It was my support system. It was like my therapist, basically. I started going every single day. Every single day. I think a very naive part of me thought getting myself in shape would probably like help me win her back or something. But I think probably like a month or two into it, I was like, yeah, it's probably not gonna happen, so I might as well just do this for me. This is where the next chapter of my life begins. I decided to move to Chicago to attend Columbia College Chicago and pursue my dream of becoming a filmmaker. It's a movie camera. It's filmmaking. I moved into an apartment with my best friend from high school who had started going to Columbia the year before, and also with his friend from that year before, Evan. Evan and I hit it off right away. He told me about how his coworker from the summer was on Columbia's baseball team. And it's worth noting that it's an art school, obviously, so we didn't have like organized teams, but we had clubs. So Evan and I decided to join the baseball club. Wasn't expecting it, but this is where my fitness journey like really started to take off. A big part of being on the team was attending team workouts at the on-campus gym. I'd already been losing a lot of weight, but this was new added motivation to become like the fastest, strongest, best player that I could be for the team. And that sort of like sparked a new version of myself. I started learning new workouts and doing more research to learn how to build muscle and strength. I learned about implementing supplements, what foods are better to eat than others, how important tracking calories and macronutrients were. I worked day in and day out. I was reaching out to people on social media for advice. Over everything, I never stopped trying to learn. By the end of my freshman year, I weighed 175 pounds, which was the lowest I had been for as long as I can remember. I finally felt like the person I had always seen in my head. I kept things going strong through the summer and through the first few weeks of my sophomore year, but in the blink of an eye, everything kind of changed. My life just got chaotically busy, like busier than it had ever been before. And I was absolutely not ready for that. My classes were getting more intense. I was starting to meet a lot more people and kind of had the desire to go out and be social and see all these new friends I was making. The biggest thing was that I started to go on set and work on other students' projects. For those of you who are unfamiliar with being on set, it is very stressful and exhausting, as well as very time-consuming. It all became very clear to me on my very first set ever. I had an incredible time, but I barely slept a wink and was working 12 to 14 hours for 4 days straight. I was also introduced to the calorically dense world of craft services. For those of you who don't know what craft services is, it's that table on set just that has a bunch of snacks that you eat throughout the day. I ate so much food during that shoot because honestly no one was stopping me. It was like a never-ending amount of bagels and peanut butter and granola bars. It felt like I was 18 years old again back at Subway. It sort of unleashed me in a way. After that shoot, life did not slow down. It did the opposite. It got busier and busier. I had class all day during the week. After class, I was spending time with friends, and then pretty much every weekend I was on set. I didn't give myself time to focus on fitness and health. Instead, I just gave myself excuses not to. And then the summer between my sophomore and junior year, I turned 21, which opened me up to a whole new world of alcohol and partying and unhealthy decisions. In the next few years, my weight would fluctuate quite a bit. I'd go through these phases of like eating well but not working out, or not eating very well but working out. I was consistently inconsistent in the worst ways. At one point, my weight crawled back to over 200 pounds. I graduated college in 2016 and continued to live just a very unhealthy lifestyle. I guess you could say I kind of gave up. I was in a very dark place where I really didn't like myself. I had no real hope for my future. I had no idea what I was doing. and I kind of took it out on myself. My mental health had really never been worse. And the last thing that mattered to me was taking care of myself. And it wasn't until the summer of 2017 that I finally decided to get my shit back together. I had joined a gym earlier that year, but again was going very inconsistently. But one day I woke up with a new mindset. This time I wasn't gonna work out and eat right to look better. I was gonna do those things to feel better. And that changed everything. No more skipping because I was tired or scared of being too sore. No more eating out instead of staying in to cook because I just didn't feel like it. I was going to start pushing myself like I never had before. I started going to the gym every day. Began waking up earlier to cook myself a healthy breakfast and pack myself a healthy lunch. I was eating, sleeping, breathing fitness. Not too long after that, my new lifestyle started to feel like less of a task and more like a reward. I started to love how I thought and felt about myself. I became stronger both physically and mentally. I started to grow more confident. I felt all of these things so strongly that I decided it wasn't going to be a phase this time. This was my life for the foreseeable future now. Which brings us to where we are today. I am now back in Chicago almost 2 years later, which is a story for another time. But I am now more driven than I ever have been before. And I hope this video is evidence of that. The purpose of today's video is not only to hopefully motivate others, but also to announce that we're doing the summer series again. For those of you who have watched Half-Ass, Full-Ass Summer, No Bummer Summer in the past, we back. But this time we're focusing more on health and fitness, as well as, still getting to follow my life a little bit. The intent here is to hopefully inspire and educate others, as well as continue to push myself with my own health and fitness. So without further ado, welcome to the Stick With It Summer Series, or as I'm going to call it, the Swiss. Hopefully there's some text on the screen, otherwise it probably looked fucking stupid. Expect episodes to be dropping very soon, and that's it. So thank you for watching and letting me be a little vulnerable with you, and I'm looking forward to this.